Hi, my name is Campion, and in this lesson I'm going to walk you through the open position major chords. I'll also give you some tips and advice on how to make your chords sound clean and how to make your transitions quick and smooth. So let's begin. When playing chords, keep your wrist loose and stay relaxed. Place your thumb on the neck and keep your wrist as straight as possible so that you don't have any unnecessary kinking, because that's going to hurt after a while. When you press the strings down, use the very tips of your fingers. Otherwise you're going to find that you get dead notes appear in the chord. So for example, if I play this chord on the very tips of my fingers, I get a nice clean sound from all the strings. If I move my hand down just slightly so that I'm no longer on the tips, lots of dead notes start to appear in the chord. So always use the very tips of your fingers. Also, try and play as close as possible to the fretwires. The fretwires are these bits of metal running down here. Place your fingers as close as possible to them, and that will again help to get a nice clean sound from the chord. Okay, so the first chord we're looking at then is A major. So place your third finger on the second fret of the B string, your second finger on the second fret of the G string, and your first finger on the second fret of the D string. And for this chord, you want to play from the A string straight down. You don't want to play the low E string. The next chord we're going to look at is C major. So for this, place your first finger on the first fret of the B string, your second finger on the second fret of the D string, and your third finger on the third fret of the A string. And again, play from the A string down, don't play the low E string. Okay, next we have D major. For this, place your first finger on the second fret of the G string, your second finger on the second fret of the top E string, and your third finger on the third fret of the B string. And for this one, you're going to want to play from the D string straight down. Don't play the E or the A strings. Okay, next we have E major. For this, place your first finger on the first fret of the G string, your second finger on the second fret of the A string, and your third finger on the second fret of the D string. And for this one, play all 6 strings. Okay, so next we have F major. Now F major is normally played as a bar chord, but I'm going to cover those in another video. So I'm going to show you a slightly simplified version of it. For this one, we're going to have to break the rules ever so slightly. We're not going to use the very tip of our first finger. We're actually going to use the side, because we want to play both the B and the top E strings with our first finger. The second finger plays the second fret of the G string, and the third finger plays the third fret of the D string. And for this one, don't play the A or the E string, play from the D string down. Okay, and then finally we have the G major chord, and I'm going to show you 2 versions of this. For both versions, you need your little finger on the third fret of the top E string. For this first version, place your first finger on the second fret of the B string and your third finger on the third fret of the low E string. Play all 6 strings. The second version of this chord, we're going to again keep our little finger on the third fret of the top E string, but this time we're going to use our second finger to play the second fret of the A string, and our third finger to play the third fret of the low E string. Again, the reason we do 2 versions of this, or the reason it's a good idea to learn 2 versions of this, is that you can make some very useful chord transitions using this second version. So for example, if I change from a G to a C, which is a very common chord transition, notice how my second and third fingers basically remain in the same position. meaning I can get a nice quick change between those two. This first version becomes useful for other reasons. One of those being that you can play a version of the G chord with your third finger down on the 3rd fret of the B string. Obviously that's much easier to do if you've already got used to using your 1st and 2nd fingers on the A and the E strings.
Okay, so to get good at playing chords, you're going to have to play them a lot, so be prepared to be patient with them. A good way to start is to place a chord, strum it, take it off, wiggle your fingers about, put it back on, and strum it again. And it's the constant repetition that is really going to build your speed up in getting to these chord shapes. Once you've got comfortable at playing each of the chords, you could try cycling between a few of them. Maybe just pick 2, play 1, change to another, play that one. And keep doing that. When you're comfortable with those 2, pick a different 2. Maybe a G and a C this time. Okay, and once you've got a bit of speed with that, try changing between lots of them.